Hello there, I'm in Malta to study freediving, and this is my first video diary. I plan to do one every day so I can tell you what I'm learning, what it's like to learn freediving. Actually, before I carry on, I'll just show you a little bit of Malta out here, rather than staring at the wall. Give me a sec. Very lovely rural area of Malta. And if you look on the horizon, you can quite see it. There's a castle there, which is definitely a place I'll visit later. Watch out for that video. Now, I want to study freediving for 3 reasons. 1, to help apply the skills I've learned in meditation and the kindred arts to life, and this is a real life situation, so that's something I really enjoy and that's something I think is very important. Secondly, I want to see what I'm capable of and explore what it's like to be faced with those kind of challenges. And to me, that's very much what life's about. And thirdly, to explore the sea. And I think there's a lovely analogy between those two things, exploring my own limitations and exploring the sea. So I've got some equipment to document this journey. And I'd like to make clear that though if you've followed my channel for a while, you might see that I've done breath holding and different forms of meditation, slowing the heartbeat down, those kind of things. I've never done free diving. So first of all, I've got the new GoPro Hero. If you've ever seen these cameras, you know how wonderful they are, but it's new to me, completely waterproof. The back opens up like this. And that's where you've got your memory card, and that's how you charge the camera, and also how you download the files. One button just fires it, turns it on. There's various modes, but film mode's the only one we'll be using here. Of course, I've got myself a wetsuit here. This was on the sale. It's not a free diving suit, it's just a normal sort of wetsuit for outdoor sports. Nice make that, made for cold temperatures, so not sure how much I'll need that here in Malta. And then I've got some of these wonderful things here. So this is a wrist mount. So you can, what happens is you undo the base of the GoPro like this, and you can just screw it onto here. Okay. But there's more. This is, I suppose, a hand mount. I don't know what this would be called, but this is a stick that you attach it to at the end that extends out, so maybe you could film yourself or what's around the place. I don't think this is anything I'll really be using myself. And here's where it gets fun. I have a head mount here, very stylish looking. Again, GoPro is just attached here, so this, maybe I could dive and you could see what it's like. And then we have this chest mount here. Reminds you of something from my childhood. So you can put the camera on straight in front of you. I only have one camera, so I can't do all 3 at the same time there. For me, what's very interesting about freediving is the fear. I'm very scared of freediving because if you're holding your breath, here, and you overdo it and misestimate, you can just recover. If it's swimming across the bottom of a pool, which I do often, or even in a pond or a river, you can just come up. So the idea of swimming 40 foot down, all the compression on the lungs, that's scary. And indeed, one of the most worrying things for me is that I have got a fear of this from a bad experience before. When I was in Egypt, I was snorkeling in the Red Sea and I saw a wreck. It wasn't a big boat, but it was a wreck. And I decided I was going to get something from it. I could see there were some bits of metal, sort of zip, what looked like coins. But it seemed a lot closer than it was. So I did a duck dive and dived as hard as I could and really swam. Of course, I didn't have any training, any flippers, anything. I managed to get there and snatch a handful of things, and it was some coins, which later when I got to the surface I could see were Russian. But coming back up, I'd made a big mistake. First of all, I didn't expect it to be so cold. I didn't realize how deep it was. My snorkel, even the actual snorkel itself, was folded in by the pressure. It wasn't really made for that. So I started to surface, and to begin with, I just was letting myself float up, conserving oxygen. Then as desperation increased, I started to kick, and that kind of makes it worse. As I started to get near the surface, I could just make out that there was a surface. As I was coming up, spasms start that say, come on, you've got to breathe. And at the time, it seemed a very good idea to let some air out in order to get rid of some of the carbon dioxide. So I did, but it wasn't very controlled. So I ended up in a situation where I was, 5 feet or something from the surface with no oxygen at all in my lungs. So I really had to kick. And as I was surfacing, just as I was getting to the surface, the vision, my peripheral vision, started to close in, and I started to feel very, very faint. So just me in the middle of the Red Sea, well, not in the middle, but just me in the Red Sea. And literally, I really believed that I was about to go unconscious and hit the surface. So now when I think about freediving, that's the worry that comes into my mind. I visualize myself going too far, overestimating myself, and being very, very deep, and having to struggle to get to the surface, or not being able to get to the surface, or passing out. And I've got a lot of good things to do. I've got some missions I need to achieve while I'm here, so I'm very worried about that concept. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm replacing that. I'm replacing that vision with something far better. So I'm imagining that I learn these wonderful skills, get better equipment, we've got proper freediving flippers, we've got the right mask, I know how to keep balance, so I've got the right buoyancy, I know how to hold my breath better, and that gently I explore the limits. And I visualize a wreck, a ship under the sea, and that with these new skills I can dive and get to that ship, maybe stand on its roof, maybe touch it, maybe even go in a little bit, not quite sure. But the most important thing is that moment when I've got there, and I know I've got plenty of time before I need to start to surface. It's all relaxed, it's under control, there's no pushing. And then there's a moment just of happiness. Don't need to stay there too long. Moment of happiness. I've touched this wreck, this is all great. I've achieved this, I've got this skill down, and then resurface. So whenever I have that worrying, this could be terrible thought, that's what I replace it with. Well, I'll update you again tomorrow after my first lesson.